Gene starts off this hour in Cincinnati, Ohio. Hi, Gene. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
So, and you should also say you help people clean up messes because I have one. So, my ex-husband and I, 16 years ago, bought a house in our name for my son and his wife and their 3 children. He's our only child. And we did that because their credit was not good at the time, and they were busting at seams in one bedroom, I should say. And so the agreement was they were to clean up their credit and get the house out of our name in 5 years. And,
that was 16 years ago.
That was 16 years ago. And my husband and I were married at the time. He's now my ex-husband. So that's problem one. Problem two is that, skip forward, they now have 4 kids. I'm remarried. He's remarried. And he is 70, and I'm mid-60s. He is not in the best of health, and I have my health issues. And so my son and daughter-in-law mentioned the other day that they were concerned. I didn't know that my ex-husband had health issues, but they mentioned the other day that he does, and they're concerned. This was their concern, that if something happened, the ex-wife has several children, what would happen if the house was still in his name?
Yeah, so maybe they ought to do something about it after 16 years.
Right, but they still can't. Their credit is still really bad. And then of course the market is as good as it has ever been. And so the house on paper has gone up dramatically in value. This question couldn't happen at a worse time. But so the problem now is getting it out of our names, and they don't have the credit where they could go get a loan. And
I assume that you still owe on the house.
Right, and the other part of that agreement was that they would make all the house payments, and we never whatever the house payment was, they made it, and we rolled everything in together. My husband and ex-husband, had really good credit. I still do. I don't know what my ex's circumstances are.
So what are y'all going to do?
Well, that's what I'm calling for. So here's what my husband and I, my current husband and I, were talking about. So I could take it out of my retirement savings, and we owe less than $30,000 on it. The house probably is valued over 100 plus. I really don't know what it would be valued at with this market, but I could pay it off. The question is, how do we transfer it to them without any gift tax? I don't know how to do that.
What is your net worth?
My husband and I, probably a few million.
Okay. All right. So you want to give them another $30,000 and just deed it to them? And do you think your ex will deed it to him?
Well, that was the agreement to begin with.
I know, but will he if you do this?
Well,
the agreement to begin with was they pay it off in 5 years. It's been 16. So nobody's done what they were supposed to do yet in this whole deal.
Absolutely true. But my ex-husband and I, we've tried to do the right thing by them, whether they did the right thing or not.
Yeah.
And again, it kind of upset me because their concern wasn't, he's in bad health. My concern, too, is his financial picture isn't good. If he ended up needing nursing
Do you have any contact with him at all?
Limited.
Okay.
But
all right. Here's the thing. I don't
yeah.
have a problem with you paying off $30,000 and signing the deed, and you can get in touch with your estate planner and file a unified estate tax credit filing. Use up some of your estate exemption, your federal estate exemption, to avoid gift tax. So you can do this without any harm to you, and you're giving them $30,000. The whole thing smells really bad because your son is a complete parasite. He's done a horrible job of managing his life and honoring his mother. But you're going to do it anyway. And so this cleans it up, and it's done. I would not do all of that and then your ex not deed his half.
Well, let me ask you this, because I tried to do research and then I thought I could just call Dave Ramsey. Would he be able to do a quick claim deed to me?
No, he'll get a gift tax as well. He has to deed it to whoever. You can both quit claim it to your son, your half to your son, but it doesn't avoid gift tax unless you file a form called the Unified Estate Tax Credit. Write that phrase down. Both you and your ex are going to do this because you're giving him a gift that is larger than $15,000, and you're going to get taxed 55% on it if you do, without filing this form. So you need to talk to your CPA, tax attorney, estate tax planner, whoever's doing this stuff for you. And it's not a hard thing to do, but it's very easy. But a one-page quit claim deed and a unified estate tax credit by both you and your ex, and a $30,000 check to the mortgage company, and this deal's over. Your son owns the house.
Quit claim deed. Both of us. Both of us need to file a unified
estate tax credit.
Okay.
And pay off the debt of $30,000. But if you give him your half and your ex doesn't, and his new wife ends up owning this with your son, it would be just desserts, but it'd be another mess.
Okay.
I mean, your son deserves a mess because he is a mess. But there's no sense in creating one on purpose. So I'd be in touch with your ex and try to get this all coordinated like a little concert move here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, for when
The paperwork is the simplest part of this whole thing. It's all the relational and financial implications that worry me. 16 years and the credit's still in the tank tells me he has not been managing money well.
Yeah, and this is not going to be a blessing to him, but it does clean it up. And for $30,000 and you got several million in net worth, it's a clean transaction. But it's kind of one. It's not kind of. It is one you got to hold your nose while you do it, because it's not really a blessing. Obviously, none of this has been a blessing to him.
Not going to feel good.
The whole freaking thing was a bad idea. 16 years ago, 11 years ago when you didn't call him on it, and now it was a bad idea. The whole thing's a bad idea. There's nothing in this as good. George, the nicest people anywhere are people who psychologists like Dr. John Deloney call enablers. They see someone who says, I need help with this, and they just want to be helpful. Even though when you look at it, the help is actually not help. It's actually harm. And so when you give a drunk a drink, the drunk is very happy with you. But you're not really helping. You're enabling, assisting in their misbehavior that brings harm to them. It doesn't harm you.
Yeah.
So if you participate in someone's crazy and assist them in it because you're sweet, and almost all enablers are very sweet people, and I'm not being sarcastic, they are very kind. They are so kind that they cannot do the hard work of conflict for someone else's good. See, when you call in here, we love you so much, we're going to bust you for your own good. It doesn't change the cost of the call. It's free. Either way. It doesn't change that we love you. It doesn't change that we don't love you. It doesn't, and Dave Ramsey's tough. No, Dave Ramsey loves you. I want you to win. So I'm going to tell you the truth. Get out of the street. Don't touch the hot stove. Stay away from these things. They bring you harm. Enablers, on the other hand, participate. Our last caller was an enabler.
What I'm seeing here is short-term help can lead to long-term harm. That's what seems to be the pattern, the theme of all of these. They're trying to help in the short term because this person can't do it on their own, and therefore we're going to give them a leg up, which is really going to hurt them financially, usually on this show, in the long term. Yeah. And usually relationally for all parties involved, long term.
So if your kid has bad credit, they can't hold down a job, they're not going to get better by you buying them a house.
That simple.
Hello. They're not. It's not going to make their life better. Now, if you need to buy groceries for your grandbabies to eat, do it. If you pay the light bill or something occasionally, that's up to you. But to the extent that you participate in the mythology that they're not in control of their life, you are not being a blessing. To that point, her son, for 16 years, has never been able to recoup and put his feet on the ground. After his mom and dad, now divorced and remarried, both of them, bought him a house, left it in both of their names. The house survived a divorce. The home ownership survived a divorce. So they've been partners with their ex for 16 freaking years. How pleasant is this? And Junior pays the bill. He can't get good credit, but he seems to pay this bill.
This is like Parent Plus loan on steroids when you're taking out a mortgage for your kids.
So what would you do in the alternative, Dave? Well, in the alternative, I would suggest that the young man rent until he can get his crap together. And I'll be happy to pay for him to go to Financial Peace University. I'll pay for him to read a book on money from one of the many Ramsey personalities, including me. I would even participate if he wanted to get out of debt and was on a budget and was being real gung-ho. I might even match him and say, for every $1,000 you pay off, I'll pay $1,000 for you. If you've got the money and you want to help them get up and get moving, you're participating in positive behaviors then that are going to lead him to sustainability, not negative behaviors that allow him to mask over and pretend like he doesn't have a problem. And buying your kid a house and putting it on a mortgage in your name is just straight up stupid. Never do that under any circumstances. Let them go rent something, and if you want to write some checks, write some checks and help them that way. But you don't need to get in the home ownership business with an irresponsible kiddo. It's a bad plan. It doesn't work out well for them or for you. It ends up the way her situation ends up. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
And we're all for generosity.
They really wanted to help.
Yeah.
And the problem is they defined the word help wrong. And it wasn't real help. Instead of look at them and going, no, 10 years from now, you're still going to be in a mess because you ain't going to change. Until you change, you hadn't changed. It's just that it's a mess.
Yeah. Well, it seems like generosity, we're big fans of that around here.
Absolutely.
But if you're generous in a way that doesn't help someone get control of their life and it's not a blessing to them, then it really wasn't generosity.
Even when you're being generous to a charity, when you're giving to a charity that mishandles money, all you're doing is participating in their mishandling of the money. You just helped them do it. And so, we do due diligence, Ramsey Family Foundation, before we give to charities. We want to make sure they're handling money well, that the money's actually going to help the people. It's not going to, we don't know how to run the office properly. And that some charities don't know how to run the office properly, and they end up spending 90% of the money on overhead and 10% to help the starving child or whatever it is they're supposed to be doing. And so it'd been easier just to go feed some kids. You'd have been better off. And so you've got to use some good common sense with this. Otherwise, you're participating. And that is not being mean, and that's not being angry.
You're heartless, Dave.
And it's not being heartless. It's not being tough. It's none of those things. It's actual love. I love you so much, I'm not going to participate in your misbehavior. I can't be a party to your misbehavior because I love you too much. I will help you do positive things. If you want to do wonderful things, I'm going to walk with you. I'll be your biggest cheerleader. I might even write some checks in the positive direction. But I'm not going to mask over your misbehavior and start paying for your stuff.
Well, as the saying goes, you entertain a clown, you join the circus.
Exactly.
And so that's what people find themselves in is now I'm all looped into this crazy, and now I have resentment because it didn't work out how I thought it was going to work out, and now I'm calling this show.
And we have, this current generation coming up in their early 20s, mid-20s, has got two types of people in it. Unbelievably responsible and mature beyond their years, and ones that are still living in their mother's basement at 27 years old. And moms, dads, kick them out. Lovingly, give them a 90-day plan. I'll walk with you. I'll coach you. We're going to assist you. But playing Nintendo is not a job. Playing Call of Duty is not a job. You need to go get a life. You're stunting your kids' growth emotionally by allowing them to exist in your basement at 26 or 36 years old. Now, short term, that's fine. A safety net is fine, but a safety hammock is not a plan.
We don't want a crutch.
Yeah. I mean, listen, an eagle that doesn't leave the nest is eventually known as a turkey. Okay, this is how this works. So these are enabling situations. You're not being helpful. Now, some people got kicked out of the house in angry, rage-filled ways or toxic family situations, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm going to love you so much, I'll help you move the couch. I'm going to love you so much, I'm going to have taught you to work from the time you were 5 years old until the time you were 20, and then you actually know what work looks like. You know what a callus is, other than on your thumbs, you know? And so, it's just, I'm going to love you so well that you are sustainable as an adult and you will have dignity long after I'm gone. And there's no dignity in being a parasite.
No.
There's just none. It's not helpful to the parasite even.
We got to stop raising kids and start raising adults. That's what I'm seeing out there.
You're right.
And there's a lot of great adults out there, but there's a lot of kids.
Yeah. And it's not this generation. Every generation's done it. My generation had what they call them, the boomerangs. You throw them out and they come back. Yeah. Remember that one?
That's clever.
That was good, yeah. Oh, man. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Well, we love you so much, people. We're on your team. We want you to win. And consequently, we're going to tell you the truth.
Might hurt your feelings, but it'll help.
It's entertaining radio, too. This is The Ramsey Show.